Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we have this confession from our brother who shared with us the abominable things he did with his own biological mother in order to make wealth. He reveals to us how far he went with his mother and the things he and the mother were able to accumulate together as a result of this abomination. He tells us the conditions that his own mother is giving him now that he wants to settle down with a woman that he has fallen in love with. Will he give in to his mother or break whatever it is between them and follow his heart? Let us go and find out in this intriguing confession. As part of our policy, I've edited the names, locations to hide their identity. Without wasting much of your time, let's go and listen to the story.
Hello brother, I wanted to share this story about my life with you. Even though it is not something the society will be proud of, I did it, and at that time it got me what I was looking for in life. The whole story is about my mother and myself. I am not mad or anything at my mother. But I feel in life, you get to a point where people call it a crossroad. And when you get to that point, you make a decision to either cross the road or stand still. This is the situation now between my mother and myself. My mother has been the only woman I have come to know in this world that knows everything about me from the beginning to the end. And I feel he holds the power or the key to break everything that I have. This she is threatening to do if I dare make any decisions that will not go in favor of her. That I fear, because knowing my mother, she will go to any length in her power to do what she wants to do. I know you will be wondering what the problem might be. But then, before I go to the problem, let me tell you from the beginning so that you will appreciate everything properly. I didn't grow up to see my father. Even though I have some memories of him from when I was still very young. That I cannot say is a form of knowing him. Because everything I experienced at that time was at that age where reasoning was not at the top level. The story behind his passing was that he lost everything that he had, and things became so difficult for our family to the extent that he had to sometimes borrow money from friends before we can have food on the table. It was that bad, at least that is what I was told. And when borrowed the money too, he was not able to pay for the agreement, and this sometimes results in people coming over to our place to disgrace him in front of his family. So one evening my elder brother, I was told, had returned from playing outside with his friends, when he saw my father hang himself in the room. He rushed out and told our neighbors in the house, and when they went inside the room, my father was gone. My mother returned home to meet his husband lying down dead in the room. That was how I didn't get the chance to experience him proper, because I was 3 years when that thing happened. This thing disturbed my mother so much that she just didn't want to do anything. And because even when he was alive, things were bad. Now that he is not around, things really became tougher for my mother. She will always tell me during my early teens that she don't know if there are some curses that are following her. Because, whatever she decides to do, it fails. And when he go to work with people, they tend to cheat on her when it comes to money. I remember the death of my senior brother when I was about 17 years. He had complained about a severe stomach pain in the night. My mother asked us to go to the hospital so that he can be checked. So the three of us went to the hospital at night by walking about 30 minutes from the house to where the hospital is. All this time, my brother was in pains and crying. There was nothing that we could do at that time than just to walk. Even if we had gotten a car, there was no money to pay for the transport cost. We got to the hospital and the nurses came and checked on him, and they told us that they will have to admit him. My mother looked at me in the face, and that period I knew what that look meant. She was not thinking of her son being admitted. Because the amount on her was not something that could afford what was coming. That was part of the reason why we didn't even bother to look for a cab to take us to the hospital. Because she was saving that little for the bills at the hospital. My mother went to one of the nurses and told her to admit him and that she is going to get his daddy to come. The nurse asked where the father was, and my mother lied that he went on a jobs assignment 2 days earlier. The nurse said that we will need to make some initial deposit before they will start treatment on my brother. My mother told me to be with my brother and that she was going to check on my father's friends to see if she can raise something. In about 30 minutes after my mother left the hospital, my brother looked at me in the face and asked me to never make my mother cry. I asked him why he is saying that. He said he wants me to promise him that I would do anything possible to put a smile in her face. I told him that I promise. One other nurse who always will come and check if my mother has come now walked in on us and told me to bring my brother so they can give him something to calm his pains. As I got up and decided to help my brother, I felt no movement in him. The nurse, sensing that, rushed to us and started checking on him. They rushed my brother to a ward, and after some few minutes, they returned as she told me that my brother had died. I didn't know what to do, whether to go to the house or wait for my mother to come to the hospital. As I sat in front of the hospital crying, I saw my mother running to the hospital with one of my father's friends. They came to me and she asked why I was outside crying. I told her about the death of my brother and she collapsed. My father's friend shouted for help and the nurses rushed out to the place and they helped my mother inside the hospital. The man told them to make sure she is okay, and that any bills he will pay. When my mother had regained her consciousness, it was around 4 p.m. that day. She started asking about my brother. They calmed her down and it was around 7 p.m. that they finally explained everything to her. This was the most difficult moment for me and my mother. As I watched her go through that pain, I was mourning my brother and also feeling bad for the sake of my mother. Why were we going through all these things? This was the question on my mind all those periods of my life. Why was life being so cruel to us this way? After the burial of my brother, to be honest, I was afraid that maybe I would be the next person to go. Because it was left with only me and my mother in this world when it comes to the union between my father and my mother. This fear was with me till I was about 27 or so, when I fell seriously ill. I told one of my friends who advises me to go to hospital that I won't. That day, I was with my friend in his room when this thing happened. I didn't want to worry this poor woman too. So I told my friend that he should get me a cab. He got the cab and he wanted to be with me to where I was going. I told him to wait because my mother might come looking for me. When the cab left his place, I told the driver to take me to a traditional worker to do some herbal protection for me. I didn't want to die. All this while, I had the feeling something was wrong. He took me to the place and as soon as I got there, the man told me that, if things are not done fast, it won't take me months and I will join my brother. Because, something had been done by my father long ago against a certain lady who had cursed my father and his entire generation. And it was the curses of that lady that is causing the damages in our family. He said that, there was something that he can do to stop that from happening. And even if he does that, to reverse the debt from me, I will never live to have money. I told him that, but I want to live and have money also. He then laughed and told me to concentrate on my healing first, then we can talk about any other thing later when I am well. This man did some rituals for me and he gave me some things to bath with. I was asked to get a black pot and mix the thing he had given me with water in the black pot. So, anytime that I will bath, I will fetch some of the water in the black pot and mix it with the water I was going to bath with. This thing lasted for 3 days. And after the 3 days, all the pains and everything that I was feeling was gone just like that. This made me go back to the man to thank him and also take that opportunity to talk about money. Because money was the problem for my mother and myself. All these years, even after the death of my brother and father, we were still struggling to survive on one good food per day. I would always have to console my mother and promise her that I will wipe her tears away. I knew this was the perfect moment for me to try and make something for myself and my mother. If indeed this was a curse that was preventing us from making money, then there should be a way to nullify the powers of that curse. At the man's place, he told me that there is a way, but he doesn't feel it is right for him to go ahead with it. Because of that, he initially didn't want to tell me what really it was. But after further persuasion, he asked me to go and bring my mother so that he will inform her of what is to be done. I asked him why mother. He said that, for what I will have to do, my mother will have to agree and be a part of it before I can break any curse on us. So quickly, I went to the house and told my mother about everything starting from my illness and what the man is telling us if we want to make money. So when I told her that he says I should bring her, she didn't even waste any time. We went to the man and he told us something that at first didn't make sense to us. He said that, if truly I wanted or any of my father's family wanted to make money, that person will have to sleep with his mother before that curse of poverty will be broken. And if the person is a lady, she will have to sleep with the father before that curse will be broken. My mother sat there quietly and she asked the man, why was there a curse in the first place? The man now told us that, my father when he was still not married to her, had a woman in his life. And he for whatever reason slept with the woman's daughter and got her pregnant. And to avoid the disgrace, gave the daughter medicine to abort the pregnancy, but the girl didn't make it. Because of this pain, the lady cursed my father that, any child he will give birth to, when that child is of the same age as her daughter was, that child will die and there will never be money in the life of my father and his generations. So, all these problems we are facing is as a result of my husband's life that he had lived before meeting me. No problem, I cannot make my son walk in this world as a poor person. Do whatever you must do. I will know what to do. She said this and left the man's place. I came to her in the house and asked what she meant by he should do what he will have to do. She said that, if sleeping with her is the only way to break that curse on my so that I can have something to feed myself and feed her too, she will gladly do it.
Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. Let us be very careful with the kind of life that we live and the way that we try to find money. The only means of attaining money is through hard work and prayers and nothing more. Please let us not be tricked into thinking that there is something somewhere that is powerful enough to give you money without any negative consequences. Nothing in this world is achieved overnight. It takes perseverance, dedication, courage and patience to amass wealth. Be strong in your belief system. Whatever you believe in, please do well to hold on to your belief well because life is 90% spiritual. And whatever you see with your physical eyes do happen in the realm of the spirit before it manifests here in this dimension. I pray that we learn from some of these stories and live a better life. If not for anything at all, it pays to live a decent and better life. As I always say, we are not here to race with ourselves. Therefore, do the little you can and ask your Creator to bless your handwork. Please let's be mindful of the choices that we make. Stay blessed and be safe. Thanks for being a part of this growing family. Kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share.